Back in the early 2000s, there was this young guy from Florida with a pen that could write hits, a voice that could melt a crowd, and a dream big enough to fill a stadium, Jason Derulo. Before he ever started singing his own name in every track, Jason was behind the scenes making magic for some of the biggest stars in the game. But the moment he stepped out on his own, everything changed. Suddenly, the quiet songwriter was center stage. Shirt off, flipping through the air, hitting high notes like he was fighting gravity itself. It felt like he was seconds away from joining the greats of R&B. But something along the way started to shift. The spark that made people fall in love with him started to fade. The energy turned from passion to polish. More about clicks and trends than heart and soul. So how did the golden boy of R&B end up as more of an online punchline than a chart topper? Let's unpack it. Jason Derulo was born in 1989 in Florida to Haitian parents. When he was just 4, he saw Michael Jackson glide across a stage, and that moment lit a fire that's never gone out. From then on, he didn't just want to sing or dance, he wanted to master it all. He threw himself into opera, ballet, and theater, determined to be the kind of performer who could do everything. By 8 years old, he'd already written his first song. While other kids were begging for allowance money, Jason was already writing for artists like Pitbull and Lil Wayne and getting paid for it. But he didn't want to just write the songs, he wanted to be the star performing them. After appearing on Showtime at the Apollo, he won the grand prize in 2006, which got him noticed by the folks at Beluga Heights Records. That's when the grind got serious. He started working on his first album, and in 2009, lightning struck. His debut single, What You Say, dropped, and boom, it hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Overnight, the world knew his name, literally because he sang it in every song. It was the perfect branding move before personal branding was even a thing. Then came In My Head, climbing to #5, and suddenly Jason wasn't just a hit. He was the next big thing. Simon Cowell called him a future superstar. Lady Gaga took him on tour. His debut album dropped in 2010, hit #11 on the Billboard 200, and went platinum. He followed that with his 2011 album Future History, and the single Don't Wanna Go Home hit #14. Gold record, more fame, more buzz. But here's the thing about fame. What goes up doesn't always stay up. In music, talent and hard work don't guarantee forever, and for Jason, the fall was already waiting behind the curtain. For Jason, the crash came quicker than anyone expected, and there was no cushion to break the fall. While he was busy trying to prove he deserved his crown, not everyone was convinced he'd earned it yet. Critics started poking holes in the shine. The BBC called his debut too polished, too fake, and way too heavy on auto-tune. His next project didn't escape the heat either. Some reviewers said Jason was trying too hard to please everyone, and ended up sounding like no one at all. Others described the album as safe, synthetic, and commercial to a fault, like a perfect body with no heartbeat. And then the numbers confirmed what the critics had been hinting at. Future History sold only half as much as his first album. The spark that made people rush to buy his songs was starting to fade. His singles Breathing and Fight For You did okay, but they didn't stick. Jason wasn't ready to accept that though. He had built his whole identity on being unstoppable, so stopping wasn't even an option. Instead of slowing down, he pushed harder. More work, more movement, more everything. He was chasing that rush of success he used to feel so easily, but he was about to learn something tough. Even the strongest performer can crumble when the spotlight burns too bright. By 2012, Jason was preparing for his biggest tour yet. The one that would prove to everyone he was a real global superstar. But during rehearsals, he made one risky move that changed everything. Trying to wow his team, Jason attempted 50 backflips in a row. Yeah, 50. Everyone was cheering him on until the very last one. He landed wrong, and the room went silent. He had snapped a bone in his neck. Doctors said it was the kind of injury that could have left him unable to walk. Just like that, his tour was canceled. The rising star was now stuck at home in a neck brace, unable to shower, tie his shoes, or even hold his head up without pain. When he finally returned, it seemed like he was getting another shot. He joined an Australian TV show called Everybody Dance Now as a dance mentor, but it flopped, getting canceled after just a few episodes. Still, Jason didn't give up. Between 2013 and 2015, he dropped 3 new albums, hoping to bounce back, but none of them hit the way they used to. His 2013 album Tattoos didn't even get certified in the US, and before long, headlines started saying what fans had already noticed. Jason Derulo, the once unstoppable hitmaker, had quietly faded from the spotlight. The same guy once hyped up as the future of pop and R&B had now become a background character in the very industry that used to celebrate him. Part of it came down to timing. Music was changing. Listeners were moving toward deeper, moodier sounds. Songs that felt personal and real. People wanted truth, not polish. Meanwhile, Jason's shiny, auto-tuned energy suddenly felt out of sync with what fans were craving. Then came the identity problem. Jason was known for doing everything: singing, dancing, writing, producing. But that flexibility slowly became his weakness. He could do a bit of everything, but nothing that clearly defined who he was. He became what some might call the jack of all trades, master of none. In an interview with Billboard, Jason admitted that behind the scenes, things were messy. He said after blowing up so fast, even his team didn't know how to build a lasting image for him. Even though I sold millions, he said, people still didn't really know who I was. Another issue came from how he was marketed. The industry tried to push him as an R&B artist, even though his sound leaned more pop. That confused audiences. Some didn't even realize Jason was black just by hearing his music. In a business that loves clear labels and neat boxes, Jason never quite fit into one, and when his label couldn't figure out which lane to put him in, they simply stopped trying. Feeling overlooked, Jason decided to part ways with them in 2020. He expected other labels to come calling right away, but the calls didn't come. For years, Jason had been known as one of the nicest guys in the business, but in 2022, that image took a hit. TMZ reported that Jason got into a scuffle in Las Vegas after a couple of guys called him another artist's name. The situation got physical, and security had to step in. The men didn't press charges, but the moment still went viral, and fans saw a side of Jason they'd never seen before. Then, just a year later, another storm hit. His longtime manager and mentor, Frank Harris, the same man who'd helped guide his career for over 2 decades, filed a lawsuit claiming Jason owed him around $1 million in unpaid commissions. It was shocking, considering how close they'd been. But as all this played out, something else was happening. The internet started turning Jason into a running joke. Being a pop-leaning black artist in a hip-hop dominated world made him an easy target for memes and online teasing. Some fans labeled him as too clean or too corny. Then came that viral photo, a man tumbling down the Met Gala steps, and somehow the internet decided it was Jason. Even after he said it wasn't him, the jokes wouldn't stop, but the real trouble was still waiting just around the corner. Then came 2023, and with it, more headlines Jason probably never wanted. A woman named Amaza Gibson, who had once been signed to his label, filed a lawsuit against him, claiming that working with him became uncomfortable. According to her, Jason had reached out years earlier to sign her and help develop her music career. But as time went on, she said his behavior started crossing lines. She claimed he invited her out to dinners and studio hangouts that didn't feel purely professional. At first, she kept her distance, turning down the offers to keep things business only, but when she eventually agreed to meet, she said he tried pushing her to drink more than she wanted. From there, Amaza accused him of making inappropriate suggestions and even mentioned a strange story about a so-called ritual that shocked everyone who heard it. She also said that after she refused his advances, things went downhill, claiming he got upset during an incident in front of others and later dropped her from the label. Jason denied everything, calling the claims false and outrageous. The case eventually got thrown out due to legal technicalities, but the public reaction left a mark. Then, while the world was still adjusting to life during lockdown, Jason found a surprising escape. TikTok. What started as him posting fun little videos turned into something massive. He wasn't just singing or dancing, he was showing people his goofy, down-to-earth side, and audiences loved it. In no time, his videos were pulling in millions of views. TikTok did what the music industry hadn't been able to for years. It made Jason Derulo feel real again. But it wasn't luck. Before he ever hit upload, Jason had already met with TikTok's head of music partnerships. He told them straight up, he wanted to be #1 on the app, and honestly, he made it happen. The fame brought a wave of new deals, brand partnerships, sponsorships, and even product launches. He dropped a book about mastering social media, released his own vodka line, and even co-created a graphic novel. Then came his viral hit, Savage Love, in 2020, a song that blew up across TikTok and hit #1 on the charts. Riding that wave, Jason made a major business move. He signed a long-term deal with Atlantic Records that gave him a 50-50 partnership with his own label. It was his way of taking back back control. In 2024, he released a new album called New King. It reached number 82 on the Billboard 200 and went gold, proof that he still had a fan base rooting for him. Now, he's planning a big tour for 2026 and staying active online, keeping fans entertained across every platform he can. Jason's story is one of serious talent, quiet pain, and the tough lessons that come with chasing perfection in an unpredictable industry. Whether his next chapter happens on stage or online, one thing's clear: the guy knows how to reinvent himself. And that's the wild story of Jason Derulo, a man who went from hitmaker to headline, from stadiums to social media, and somehow still found a way to stay standing through it all. It's a reminder that fame doesn't always come with peace, and sometimes the biggest glow-ups happen after the spotlight starts to fade. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive into your favorite stars and their stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.